Happy Sunday, guys. Bringing you the content yet again. We're talking about 5 overvalued fantasy football players for 2024. These guys are way too overvalued. I'm not drafting them. These are absolutely players to avoid. They're not going to be on my radar. They're not included in 16 rounds. I am staying far away, and you should as well. Do not draft these guys, okay? They are completely overvalued. Let me explain why. This is a very, very important episode because these guys are pretty big names, man. They're massive names. Everybody's targeting them. Everybody's hyped up about them. And I'm telling you guys, I'm not buying the hype. So if you guys are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit that thumbs up. We're going to dive into these overvalued players right here, right now, and grab the 16-round draft. So you guys, look at me. I'm telling you guys, this is the game changer. You'll put you light years ahead of the competition. It's a video training with notes and a printable cheat sheet. Everything you have to make sure you have a bulletproof roster. I lay it all out for you guys. Sleepers, breakouts, optimal players drafts each round. Everything you need to crush your leagues. I do a dynasty talk there. I give you all the late rounds deals, everything. I find this year's Laporta, grab 16 rounds, and grab a ticket to the Fantasy Sports Summit as well upon checkout. We're going to have a virtual summit with NFL players. Come hang out from the comfort of your home for the Fantasy Sports Summit, guys. The only person, providing this amazing experience for you guys. Not only am I getting you guys away from consensus copy-paste rankings, I'm also giving you an opportunity to ask your favorite NFL player some questions and you answer for a PS5 giveaway if you guys grab a ticket to the summit, okay? Grab the combo below, linked it below, all right? Let's talk about it, guys. Smash it, tap it, slap it, hit that thumbs up. Takes a second of your time, helps the channel. I am an independent, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. All right, let's talk about the first overvalued player here. And I'm not seeing the hype at all, but let's talk about him, is Devin Achane here. Devin Achane, off the chain, a chain. Listen, 5'9", 180 pounds. The guy's a speedster. He was a third-round pick by the Dolphins last year. Finished 24th in PPR amongst running backs last year, sitting as RB11. When I say overvalued, I mean like literally overvalued. That being said, he does have a high ceiling. Notice that he was on IR last year, only played 11 games, missed a ton of time, had lingering injuries, including his ribs and toes, and it was his knee that put him on IR, guys. Knee issues, young, first year. I know he's explosive, and sometimes these guys that are explosive tend to burn out, and that's what I think he did last year. Now, the amazing thing was he averaged 7.8 yards per carry. Very, very impressive. 8 touchdowns. Got a bunch of receiving touchdowns as well. 3 of those, I believe. 7.8 yards per carry in those 11 games. 800 yards, 103 attempts. The guy looked explosive, but let's talk about some things that are going to hinder him. Number 1 is that injury. Number 2 is the fact that he's very overvalued, very expensive. You're paying high draft capital. Number 3, I don't trust Miami running backs. Rarely do they ever finish on top. Rarely do they ever do well. So I think he's completely... I think he's overvalued. And they've drafted Jalen Wright. The guy ran a 4.38 running back out of Tennessee in the 4th round. Okay, his college numbers over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns last year, bunch of receptions, 22 receptions last year in college. Jalen Wright, okay? I mean, guys, you look at a guy who's a speedster in Devin Achane, and you bring in Jalen Wright, one of the top, I wouldn't say he's top, but he was a top prospect, but not the top prospect at the running back position. You draft him in the 4th round. They got Jeff Wilson there. They got Raheem Mostert there. They got Waddle, who they paid a ton of money to. They got Tyreek Hill, who they also want to pay a lot of money to. They've got so many options. When you look at a running back, you got to look at him as being like the number 1, number 2 target or option on that offense. And he's pretty much number 3 right now. But then again, you got Jalen Wright there. Drafted in the 4th round, ran a 4.38. You got Mostert there, who's kind of sitting there as a number 2. You get so many questions. Jeff Wilson. You got all these people, there that are going to be pests. They're going to be annoying. And at the end of the day, man, very, very expensive for Devin Achane. Could he go off? Absolutely. But again, based on the dilution of targets and volume, that's going to be a problem. Injuries, it's a no for me. I'm just passing on him. Too many red flags. The injury last year should be enough. Then you've got, Jalen Wright. You've got all these red flags. No. I want to hammer that point home. Again, that being said, the ceiling is there, but very, very risky, okay? The next guy, number 2 here. Okay, very overvalued. I don't like him. Now, mind you, he dropped. He wasn't a direct copy and paste, but pretty much finished 6th amongst wide receivers. The guy I'm talking about is DJ Moore. DJ Moore has never been a sensational wide receiver. He's a slightly above par wide receiver. He's going into his 7th season. He had 8 touchdowns last year, which is his max. He's never seen that type of touchdown volume, okay? It was like his pinnacle year. Okay, he was never a big touchdown guy. So you're looking at a guy coming off his personal pinnacle year when it comes to touchdowns, kind of overall numbers as well, 1,364 yards, 136 targets. And then they bring in Keenan Allen, who's a target hog with the Chargers. He's old, he's washed, I understand, but he's still going to demand the ball. He's going to be a target hog. He's going to be annoying. And they draft if not the best wide receiver prospect out of this draft, next to like Malik Neighbors and next to, Marvin Harrison. This guy was number 2. Number 3 is Rome Odunze. And you got a rookie quarterback. So again, we're getting these flag situations where it's like, okay, hold on a second. Moore coming off this pinnacle year. He's not a true wide receiver 1. And if he was, they wouldn't have drafted Rome Odunze. If he was, they wouldn't have brought in Keenan Allen. They bring in all these options. They bring in all these people. It's like, what's going on? Don't you believe in DJ Moore? Clearly they don't. As I said, Moore is not a true 1. Again, he's coming off as wide receiver 16. So again, this is what's happening in drafts right now. People are drafting, DJ Moore, and they're drafting Keenan Allen right after. It's like, you guys don't even know who the wide receiver 1 is. But I can assure you that it's not DJ Moore. He's just not the guy. It could be Rome Odunze for all we know. And for that, I think that they're all completely overvalued, and I tend to stay away from these situations. Again, I've talked about this in other videos. If you want to take a gamble or a risk on a fantasy football player in the early rounds and you're uncertain, don't do that. You might as well, take a risk later with guys like Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, or Romeo Doubs, or other people like Ladd McConkey, who could be the one on his team you're getting much later than a DJ Moore. Like, what a waste of a pick, okay? Way too overvalued. Let your idiot league mates draft him, okay? Number 3, let's keep rolling here. Guys, if you're new to the channel, if this is making sense, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, and grab 16 rounds, because I omit all these players that you should be avoiding. And last year, perfect example, I told you to stay away from Mike Williams, who's coming off round 5. Why were you drafting Keenan Allen round 3, who, by the way, busted last year in the last 3 weeks of your fantasy football playoffs and championships? Why are you drafting Keenan Allen round 3 and Mike Williams 2 rounds later? It made no sense. And they're doing it again, but with higher draft capital for DJ Moore and Allen. It's ludicrous. The same thing's happening with Diggs and Nico. It's crazy, guys. You can avoid all this stuff, okay? Grab 16-round draft solutions so you guys make sure you guys have the optimal roster, okay? Next guy is Brandon Ayuk. Now, listen, there's already talk. At the time of this recording, there's talk of Ayuk being traded, moved off, and they've got Deebo Samuel. Now, let me give you guys some numbers here that's really going to turn you off of Ayuk, okay? Let's lay this out here. He's sitting as wide receiver 13, finished as wide receiver 14, so pretty much copy and paste. Had a good year, 1,347 yards, but only 105 targets. So that right off the bat is like, why am I paying a second, third round pick for a guy who's only getting 105 targets? Check this out. Deebo had 89 targets. CMC had 83 targets. George Kittle, 90 targets. Ayuk is not going to be the one there, guys, okay? Not to mention they drafted Ricky Pearsall with, I think, the first or second round of the pick, man, first round pick. Like, that's crazy, okay? And another thing this is very, very important when you're looking at stats, when you're looking at if you should or should not draft Ayuk, you guys got to take a look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy only threw the ball 444 times. Okay, that with the dilution of all these targets I just mentioned with Kittle, CMC, Deebo, even they're getting shipped off, they're going to bring Parcells into the mix, who's drafted with high draft capital. You're looking at a guy who threw 20th in passing attempts in Brock Purdy. That being said, why would you draft Deebo Samuel round 2 or 3? It makes zero sense to me, yet he's coming off. I just did a 2K buy league. He came off in the mid-third round right after Deebo Samuel, or just before, one of the two. They went back-to-back in the mid-third round. Third round, way too expensive for Ayuk, man. I'm not sold on him. I don't think he's that good of a receiver. And then he's got contract things. He wants to get paid as much as Justin Jefferson. Ludicrous, man. He's not that good. Okay, just way overrated. All right. So overpriced, overrated. I'm fading. Okay. Next one is Devontae Adams, wide receiver 9. Aiden O'Connell's throwing the ball. Okay, Aiden O'Connell last year, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Need I say more? When your touchdown-interception ratio is pretty much on par and in parallel, and then I don't trust it. Now, mind you, I do love Zamir White this year. I think he's going to run the ball a lot. But Devontae Adams, man, the only thing going for him, he's going to get volume. He's old. I'm not excited about him. He's getting downgrade at quarterback every year. Listen, Devontae Adams, I'm completely out on. Wide receiver 9, dudes. Wide receiver 9. Very expensive for a guy who doesn't have a quarterback. Okay, I'm just not sold on Aiden O'Connell. I'm just not. But again, maybe his talent will prevail. Maybe he has his last try. Maybe he gets a ton of volume, which he should because he's the only wide receiver there. And that's the only thing he's got going for him. But for me, old wide receivers with crappy quarterbacks is a big no-no for me. With high draft capital, very overvalued, very expensive, with a ton of uncertainty on the tail end of his career, I'm out on Davante Adams, okay? Volume in his favor, everything else against him, all right? And the last guy here, I'm just not seeing the hype here. RB 14-15. I talked about him in the last show with Jim. Is James Cook, okay? They brought in Ray Davis, who's an absolute beast and a monster. They drafted him. And then they signed, undrafted, is Frank Gore Jr., who's got the pedigree of Frank Gore Jr., who's got a lot of heart, one of the top running back prospects, just didn't get drafted, which is weird. Running backs are completely being devalued. It's just wild. So I look at a guy like James Cook, and I'm like, okay, you only had 2 rushing touchdowns. Your quarterback rushes a lot with Josh Allen. So you're already losing that battle there. Then they draft Ray Davis, and they sign Frank Gore Jr., and James Cook is not that good. I just don't think James Cook is that good. So again, you could say what you want about James Cook maybe being good, and he's in a bad situation, similarly to the way Devin Singletary was, where he absolutely sucked there, and I still think Devin Singletary sucks, yet he did okay on the Texans. Now he's on a new team. So, again, I don't like Devin Singletary either. I think he sucks too. But James Cook, man, I'm completely fading him. Very expensive. I mean, you're looking at, round 3, 4? I mean, if he falls to 5, that's better, but yeah, there's better, more secure running backs who aren't up on the borderline of losing their jobs to rookies like Ray Davis, okay? So, James Cook, I'm out on. Josh Allen is there. Completely overvalued. You guys are drafting this guy, and some people are saying, well, I'm just going to go 0 RB and make James Cook my 1. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. Last year, everybody told you, let's go 0 RB and make J.K. Dobbins our RB1. How'd that work out for you guys? I'm getting J.K. Dobbins vibes here without the injury. I'm getting totally diluted RB committee here with a rushing quarterback, okay? Not good, all right? So, guys, I'm telling you, Devin Odchain, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Davante Adams, James Cook, completely overvalued, completely overrated. Do not draft. These are fantasy football players to avoid. Stay away. Smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. Hope you guys have an outstanding Sunday. I've got content coming out every morning at 7 a.m. Guys, fantasy football is back. And grab the 16-round draft, which should put you light years ahead of the sheep in your league. Light years ahead, grab 16 rounds. I appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend. I'm out.